If you look past the human scale in almost any neighborhood, you will see massive tracts of urban infrastructure dedicated entirely to stationary metal boxes. Statistically, more than 70% of most cities' outdoor space is allocated exclusively to the storage of private vehicles. There is a practical way to disrupt this imbalance. You can secure a short-term lease on a standard 10 by 20-foot metered parking spot and temporarily reclaim it for human use. This concept has been formalized into a global mobilization event called Parking Day for Fitness, which occurs annually during the third week of September. The movement traces its origins back to 2005 in San Francisco, when a design studio proved that paying a parking meter is a legally sound way to rent public land for social experimentation. For the fitness edition of this event, the mechanics are straightforward. You remove the stationary car and substitute it with active human movement. Once the space is empty, you introduce specific fitness equipment and ecological elements, creating a designated zone strictly for physical activity. Because every city relies on metered parking, this tactic provides any community with a highly scalable, repeatable template to physically shift their local infrastructure toward human health. The operational philosophy driving these temporary setups is a framework known as placemaking. Placemaking is an iterative process where local communities actively co-create their public spaces to foster a sense of belonging, well-being, and social cohesion. Moving physical activity out of private gyms and into these highly visible, co-created public spaces yields direct physiological benefits. This diagram illustrates those internal changes. Engaging in physical play in the built environment actively lowers your resting heart rate. It also helps manage critical organ health by reducing visceral fat and stabilizing cholesterol levels. There are secondary psychological advantages as well. Exercising in a public outdoor setting consistently relieves feelings of anxiety and depression while boosting cognitive attention and problem-solving abilities. Integrating small ecological elements like potted plants or temporary grass provides an accessible touchpoint with nature that immediately reduces systemic urban stress. By combining structured movement with local greenery, a single parking space acts as a highly targeted public health intervention. Before you can set up equipment, you have to clear the main logistical hurdle, coordinating your plan with the local municipal administration. Attempting to occupy a parking space without the proper short-term lease or official permit is the single biggest failure point for this project. Your setup must comply with all regional and national laws regarding public space. Securing the exact paperwork required by your specific city is mandatory. Once you have the legal right-of-way, you must establish physical safety boundaries. You need clear, heavy barriers separating your 10 by 20-foot zone from active street traffic. Meeting these strict bureaucratic and safety requirements early on is exactly what allows your community to interact without the risk of traffic hazards or fines. Once your permit is approved, you can design your event using a 3-tier intervention spectrum, scaling it to match your local resources. Step 1 is the light intervention. These are low-barrier setups requiring minimal gear, like drawing DIY chalk games on the pavement or laying down mats for a yoga platform. If you have a larger volunteer base and access to specific recreational equipment, you can advance to moderate interventions. This tier involves bringing in heavier items, like portable ping-pong tables, or, as seen here, hosting structured, medium-scale workout classes directly on the asphalt. Finally, there are intense interventions. These setups demand maximum effort, complex logistical planning, and deep community engagement. Intense interventions include deploying large, multi-sport activity boxes or organizing a rigorous, coordinated community waste collection drive to physically reclaim neglected parts of the street. Because the spectrum is tiered, any local group has a viable, realistic blueprint to step in and disrupt their local streetscape. The financial barrier for these events is incredibly low. A full-day intervention generally costs anywhere from €0 to roughly €50. On the morning of your event, the physical execution requires 3 steps. Feed the meter, place your heavy safety barriers on the perimeter, and set up your equipment strictly within that 10 by 20-foot footprint. The visual contrast is immediate. An empty slab of asphalt is completely converted into a vibrant hub of social activity. The process is tested and repeatable. Secure the municipal permit, select your intervention tier, and execute the physical setup safely. To participate in the global mobilization during the third week of September, contact your local municipal administration today to begin the permit process. Claiming a single 10 by 20 foot space is a precise, effective mechanism for taking back your streets and directly supporting public health.